All right, so this is one of the best times of the year. This is the time of the week or of the month of September, whenever it's week one of the NFL season, which means there's Thursday night football and Friday night football, which basically means that we get football on Thursday, we get football on Friday, we get college football on Saturday, we get football on Sunday, and we get football on Monday Night Football. That is the type of stuff that a man without religion would live for. But obviously, well, I've been open about that. But anyway, what's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Titans Rundown. I am your host, Mike McCamey, and in today's episode, I am going to be logging my predictions for the Tennessee Titans Week 1 matchup against the Denver Broncos. Now, this is a video I've been waiting for months and months and months to actually make, and I am really excited to get into this episode because, well, it's the Tennessee Titans. Football's back. No matter how good or bad it's going to be, Tennessee Titans football is back, and it's just an amazing time of year. Fall is one of the best periods of time solely because of football. Not even because of the weather, not even because of Halloween or anything else like that. Solely because of football does this time of year absolutely pop. But anyway, let's get into today's episode, and I want to clarify right before I get into this, there's going to be a lot more focus on the offense, as I feel like that's the one with, like, that's the side of the ball with, like, the biggest question marks of, like, what's going to happen over there precisely. And then I'll cover the defense quickly at the end, but I feel like there's a little bit more certainty with what's going on over there. But anyway, let's get into today's episode. So we are going to start out with the Tennessee Titans offense. Okay, y'all know that Cam Ward is obviously the lock for the starting quarterback job. Now, how do I think he'll do? This is a topic that is heavily debated over. You thinking, okay, he's going up against a veteran defensive mind with a really solid defense, especially whenever it comes to week one stars. I mean, Pat Surtain, the D-line is ferocious, linebacker core is decent. Like, there is a lot of stuff here that Cam Ward may struggle against. So I tried to come up with the most realistic stat prediction that I could. I have Cam Ward going 20 of 33, 235 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 pick. I think Surtain will trick him, or some type of defensive scheme with Vance Joseph will trick him at some point. But overall, I think this is going to end up being a decent game for Cam Ward. I think there are going to be a lot of flashes, but this is going to be nowhere near an elite game. He's going to make some really stupid mistakes. He's going to, again, like I said, he's going to throw a pick. He's going to make some really stupid mistakes. He's going to try and extend the play whenever he doesn't need to. He's going to run out of bounds. He's going to run out of bounds, like, behind the line of scrimmage. He's going to do all of the simple rookie stuff, right? That's what's going to happen in this game. But again, I still think that he'll make some nice throws, specifically maybe a couple deep to Ridley, maybe just a couple of really accurate slant passes. Like, stuff like that is what I'm expecting to see out of him. There's going to be a lot of room for improvement after week one. There may even be some people trying to over-exaggerate, being like, Cam Ward sucked. That means that he's not going to be good this year, and he's never going to be good in the NFL ever. But anybody that watches the game will look at the stat line, they'll look at the film, and they'll be like, oh, okay, there's something here. It may not be completely developed, but there is something here. That is what I am expecting to see out of Cam Ward week one. And honestly, that's just what we could wish for, because here's the thing, right? Will Levis, he had like 2 good games last year. Or, well, actually, he had a nice stretch of games. It was from like the Chargers to about the Washington game. After that, he was completely terrible. But for those few games, we thought we had something. And I'm really hoping that we can get that energy back, right? And I'm hoping that this could end up being a sign for the future. But anyway, yeah, Cam Ward, decent game, shows flashes, right? That's all that we're asking for, and that's what I'm predicting. Oh, also, I do want to mention something real quick. I have not been this excited for football since, goodness knows how long. Probably since, like, the 2022 Tennessee Vols team and the Titans team going along with that, because that was before the Titans fell apart and went 7-10 to end the year after starting 7-3. That was the year that the Josh Heupel offense finally broke out with Hendon Hooker. Like, that's how excited I am to watch, because I just saw us beat Syracuse this weekend. This is going to the Vols, and I thought that team looked pretty solid. They're not, like, obviously it's hard to judge off of Syracuse, but, like, we still were able to beat an out-of-conference Power 4 team and beat them pretty convincingly, too. And Joey Aguilar, oh my gosh, he looked so much better than Nico potentially ever did. Like, okay, again, he had a really good half against Chattanooga, but apart from that, like, what else was there? But anyway, going off of the Vols topic, but like, yeah, I'm excited to watch the Vols this year, and the Titans I'm excited for different reasons. That year in 2022, it was because I thought that they were just going to be good. This year, I'm excited to watch because I think Cam Ward is going to have some really good moments. And this year is going to make us excited for the future, whether Callahan makes it through the year or Callahan does not make it through the year. Either way, I think that this will be a fun year. Anyway, side tangent aside, let's get into the rest of this episode, starting out with, after Cam Ward, what do I think Tony Pollard will do? I think Tony Pollard's going to have a good game. I think he's going to have like 20 carries, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, I'm expecting this team to break 20 week one. Anyway, that's not the main point. What I'm talking about here is that I think that Tony Pollard is going to have a really good game. And I think it's going to be because of his O-line, okay? And I'll get into that in a second. But, like, here's the thing. Tony Pollard, since he had that injury a couple of years back, he has not really had the best O-line. Like, his O-line was okay his last year in Dallas. His O-line was terrible his first year in Tennessee, and he still broke 1,000 yards. Think about what's going to happen whenever Tony Pollard now has probably the best O-line that he's had since he was getting reps stolen away from him by Ezekiel Elliott. And he's not going to have to compete with Tajay Spears for carries. So both of those things combined into one make me think that this is going to be Tony Pollard's best game as a Tennessee Titan. Maybe those stats are underselling that a little bit, but I do think that there is a very good chance of something like that happening. Okay. But speaking of the O-line, let's talk about the O-line. I think that Cam will be sacked once. If I had to take a guess about who gives it up, if Lloyd Cushenberry isn't back, it's definitely going to be Corey Levin if I had to take a guess. But I could also see Zietler getting off to a slow start and letting up one. But I don't think this line is going to play that bad. I think that they're going to have a great game. I think they're going to hold their own against this really good Broncos D-line. And I think that again, we will be shown the magic of Bill Callahan. Whenever he gets his guys that he wants on that offensive line, he can make magic happen. And I think that Dan Moore, even though he wasn't at practice today, which I'm really hoping that that's just because, he was taking like a rest day before the game or something like that, and that it wasn't because he got seriously hurt at all throughout this past week. That's what I'm hoping for, at least. But if he isn't back, then we're kind of toast. But anyway, but not the point. What I'm saying is that if that O-line is fully healthy come week one, even with Corey Levin, I think they're going to hold their own. And I think that this line will look really freaking solid. Just overall will be really good. And again, improvement will be seen 100%, especially compared to last year whenever we had NPF starting at right tackle and J.C. Latham potentially out of position, and then, Skronsky was still trying to find some of his footing. Cushenberry got hurt halfway through the year, and Dylan Radins was our right guard, and now Saints fans want that dude's head on a silver platter. But anyway, again, overall, solid game by the O-line if I had to take a guess. Okay, now we get into the receivers and the tight ends. Okay, this is a long list of guys. So I did 3 receivers and 2 tight ends. It's the 3 starting receivers and the 2 tight ends that are probably going to get the most snaps. All right. So starting out, Calvin Ridley. I think Calvin Ridley has an amazing game this first game. Right? Maybe this is a bit unreal. This is definitely unrealistic. Let me take that back. Definitely unrealistic considering what is to come with Patrick Surtain guarding him. But I think Calvin Ridley has one of those like really big 8 reception, 120-yard games. Like, I think he is going to like just go off because I think that he's gonna beat Surtain with his speed a lot. And I just think that overall, we'll see that Calvin Ridley is a real wide receiver one. I will stand by that he is a real wide receiver one. That the only reason that people aren't respecting him like one is because his quarterback play has been so blah the past 2 years. Like, he had to play with Mason Rudolph and Will Levis. And then in Jacksonville, he had to play with a intensely banged up Trevor Lawrence. So to me, I just think that Calvin Ridley is just going to do really good in this game, and I think that this will be a consistent theme throughout the year. Now, 8 receptions, 120 yards? No, I do not think that that's what it's going to be consistently. But I do think that it will be just solid game after solid game, especially considering the fact that Cam definitely has the most chemistry with Calvin Ridley, so that's also something to take into consideration. And combine that with the fact that the Titans' receiver core in general just really is not that great. So both those things combine into a chaotic storm of perfectness for Calvin Ridley to end up being a great player this year. Okay, next receiver, Tyler Lockett. Don't think Tyler Lockett's going to do that much. He has like 2 receptions for 15 yards. One of those will be a first down, though. I will 100% guarantee that. I think he'll just be a guy that's just kind of there on the short route every now and again, just in case you need him. He's going to run like an easy slant or like an easy crosser or whatever. Like, he's not going to do like too much to me. And again, I could be completely wrong about that. He may have the best game out of the entire receiving core because everybody's attention is on Calvin Ridley. Everybody forgets about little old Tyler Lockett. But not 100% confident in that. So we'll see whenever it comes to that. But again, just not really an inspiring game from Tyler Lockett. Kind of shows the trend continuing of those Titans receivers that just don't really do that good. They're in their twilight years. And they just, again, they just don't look that great. Okay. And I still stand by the fact that the last one to have that effect was Robert Woods, and that DeAndre Hopkins was not one of those players. Okay. DeAndre Hopkins had an 1,000-yard season with us. People forget about that. Like, look, will it be weird in a few years looking back and be like, oh, yeah, DeAndre Hopkins, he was the guy that played for the Texans and the Cardinals, right? Nope, he also played for the Titans. I think that that's going to be a little weird, but he was still really solid. But, again, another side tangent aside, again, Tyler Lockett looks like the Titans receivers of old. Anyway, next one for me is Alec Edelman. I don't think he's going to get the ball much, but when he does, I think he's going to make the most out of it. Whether he's catching a deep route, whether he gets it and gets intense yak, or whatever. I think that he is seriously going to make the most of 3 receptions. I have him going for 3 receptions for 42 yards. Most of that comes from yak, and maybe he catches a deep ball. I'm not too sure, but I think, dude, after seeing Alec Edelman listed as a starter over Van Jefferson, I genuinely believe that Alec Edelman will end up being this year's Puka. And I'm not saying that he will be as good as Puka. I'm not saying that he's going to go for like 1,400 yards and 10 touchdowns or whatever Puka had his first year. I'm just saying that I think he's going to really surprise some people. 5th-round pick that comes in and just plays a really inspired first season and shows people, hey, I should have been drafted way earlier than this. But again, I think that Alec Edelman just has a really stinking solid game for us. And that's really enough said. I think that he's going to end up being one of the shockers of this year. That's the truth. Anyway, that's it for the receivers. Again, Calvin Ridley has the best performance by far. Alec Edelman has the second best performance and shows why he will be a person that people regret passing up on. And then Tyler Lockett just kind of stands there. Okay, so I have Gunnar Helm going for 2 receptions for 30 yards, and I think that he catches the lone touchdown that the Tennessee Titans have passing-wise. Now, it wouldn't be completely unrealistic to do like anything else, like, oh yeah, Alec has a touchdown or Ridley has a touchdown, as predictable as that may seem, but like, I don't know. I really have a strong feeling that Gunnar Helm is going to also make the most out of his receptions and his snaps and catch some footballs and show that maybe he should be starting over Chig. And I think it's going to be a nice little red zone touchdown. It's going to be like, maybe not a fade route, but like it's going to be back of the end zone. He's going to have to jump for it. And he makes just the catch of a lifetime. And just overall shows that type of flash whenever he's receiving. Okay, last person, Chig. I think that Chig is going to be just okay in this game. I was loading up for a really good, but no, he's going to be similar to Tyler Lockett, just better. Like, I think that he's going to get the check downs. He's going to get maybe one route that's more than 5 yards, but I have him going for 4 receptions for 28 yards, no touchdowns, just as kind of there as a safety blanket for Cam Ward on some of the deeper routes and those deep concepts. So again, just not really an inspiring game from Chig, but an okay game to say the least. Then we go on to the defense. Again, this one's going to be a little bit shorter, but it will round out the episode. So let's start out with the turnover battle. I don't think we're going to pick them off, and I don't think we're going to force a fumble or turnover on downs. I just don't see that happening. I think that if L'Jarius Sneed is ready for week 1, then he will hardly be able to keep up with Cortland Sutton, which is overall why I just am not expecting the Titans to win this game. But again, it could still happen. Maybe we get a couple of things go our way. But again, I just don't see a turnover battle here. I just don't think it's going to be all that great. But anyway, golly, where was I? Oh, yeah, I also think that this defense records 2 sacks. One is going to be by Draymond Jones. I think that he's going to surprise a lot of people this year. I'm not saying that he's going to be a 10-sack guy or anything, but I don't know, man. I don't think he's gotten enough playing time anywhere else he's been, and I do genuinely believe that he is actually a really good defensive lineman that has just been hidden because he's been stuck on really solid depth charts. That's just my personal opinion. But anyway, and the other one I think is going to be by Big Jeff. I think that Big Jeff finally shows some of his pass rush nuance, and he shows the entirety of the NFL, hey, look, y'all have already been considering me one of the better defensive tackles in the league. Now I got a pass rush bag. Respect me. It's going to be one of those performances where he just really is getting to the quarterback and is really just doing a solid job. Now, again, it's going to be really hard for us to get to Bo Nix because, again, he has a very strong pocket presence, first off. But second off, this offensive line is just really, really good. So, again, this is what I am hoping. This is more so what I'm hoping for than what I'm expecting. If we get lucky, we get 1 sack, quite honestly. But anyway, but I will say, I do think the best group of this game is going to be the interior D-line. I think that we absolutely show up on the interior, and I think that people will see very quickly that T'Vondre Sweat is a bad man. Same thing with Big Jeff, and I think that we do really good against the run. Maybe not so great against the pass, but we do enough against the run to at least make it a respectable amount of points going toward Denver's way. So, with all that being said, what do I think is going to happen in this game? Goodness knows what's going to happen in this game, okay? If I had to take a guess, Titans will lose this game, but I do think that we'll put up a valiant effort. I'm going to go with a... Okay, so hold on. Add up the touchdowns. Okay, 3 touchdowns. So that's okay. I'll say 21-28. Don't take that for a complete, serious take, because I'm expecting us to be down 21-14 with 2 minutes left, and then we score some burner touchdown, and it ends up being 28-21 Broncos. Not expecting us to win this week, but if we can stay decently competitive, I will be 100% completely proud of that. But anyway, that is it for today's episode of the Titans Rundown. If y'all want to support me, I have Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, or not TikTok anymore. I have Instagram and Twitter, both under the Titans Rundown. And again, if you want to see more content, just go check those out. But anyway, that's going to do it all for me. This has been a rundown of your Tennessee Titans. I love y'all, and tighten up.